In the time of Jesus, rulers and kings usually had gardens. And their gardens, though, were more than places where they get a breath of fresh air or entertain friends. Gardens for kings and rulers then were often symbols of their kingdom. For example, in the 6th century BC, the Assyrian ruler Ashurbanipal, he built one of the largest libraries in the world next to his palace. He wanted to show he welcomed all knowledge. He also built a garden, a big garden, next to his palace, where he had plants and animals from all parts of his kingdom. He wanted everybody to know that this was the world he ruled. In today's parable, Jesus presents his Father's world as a vineyard. God's world is a vineyard. Not a vineyard for making money, though. Rather, the vineyard signifies God's wish to make the world happy. The world, like the marriage feast of Cana, is blessed with an abundant wine. God wants this world to flourish and for us to find our happiness here too. So the first thing we can learn, I think, about this world from our parable is that God wants us to look at it and to look at life as a blessing. In the beginning, the book of Genesis says, God saw the world and it was good. And that's still true. God still sees the world as good. And we should see it that way too. Now that's important in our world, crippled by a pandemic, isn't it? We're tempted today to see a world drowning in problems, dying instead of living. We don't want to forget what God made this world to be. We shouldn't lose hope in the vineyard that God has given us. Now there's something else that this parable teaches us. We're tenants in this world, tenant farmers, given a little space and a little time. Now that's how the parable describes those who live in God's vineyard. They don't own the place. We don't own this place either. It belongs to God. And someone else is coming after us, just as we came from someone else before us. The tenant farmers in today's parable want to hold on to everything. They're ready to kill so that they can keep what they have. They have no sense that this is God's world. It's theirs, they think, and they don't have to share it with anyone else. In the days that lead up to October 4th, the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, many churches observe the season of creation, a time to remember that the natural world is here and we have our place in it. God works for 5 days to create our world, the book of Genesis says. Only on the 6th day does God create human beings, whom he places over the world. God made this world, not us. Every created thing is God's creation. And every created thing enjoys a relationship with its creator. We're tenant farmers. We're here to flourish, to find happiness. But we're also here to make God's world flourish. Might be good to look out the window one of these days at the world we live in, the sky, the earth, the creatures of the earth, and say that simple prayer that St. Francis said, "Praise be to you, my Lord." Pope Francis began his letter on the environment with that beautiful prayer, Laudato Si, praise be to you, my Lord. The Pope reminds us that St. Francis saw this world as our common home. She's like a sister with whom we share our life, a beautiful mother who opens her arms to embrace us. Praise be to you, my Lord, to our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us and who produces various fruit with colored flowers and herbs. This sister, the Pope says, now cries out because of the harm that we have inflicted on her by our irresponsible use and abuse of the goods which God has endowed her. We've come to see ourselves as her lords and masters, entitled to plunder her at will. The violence present in our hearts, wounded by sin, is also reflected in the symptoms of sickness evident in the soil, in the water, in the air, and in all forms of life today. This is why the earth herself, burdened and laid waste, is among the most abandoned and maltreated of our poor. She groans in travel. We have forgotten that we ourselves are dust of the earth. Our very bodies are made up of her elements. We breathe her air. We receive life and refreshment from her waters. Those are strong words from Pope Francis. The parable of the tenants in the vineyard is an old story, but it fits today very well. We're tenants in our world. We're meant to care for the world God made. Praise be to you, my Lord.